Hello, happy holidays, and welcome to our December Microsoft Dynamics 365 CRM User Group webinar hosted by Ledgeview Partners. My name is Chad Collette, and I'm the Director of Marketing here at Ledgeview Partners. We're a business and technology consulting company who partners with organizations to transform sales, marketing, and customer service operations and processes that are supported by core technologies like Microsoft Dynamics CRM and marketing automation. Now, before I introduce our presenter, I have just a couple quick housekeeping items to cover. First off, today's webinar is being recorded, and it will be available on demand after the live session. All attendees will receive a follow-up email from me after the webinar is complete with a link to access the presentation. We encourage you to share this with any other Dynamics users and admins that you know. Now, to ensure the best audio quality, we have everybody on listen-only mode. But if you have a question or a comment, please submit those in the question pane of your GoToWebinar control panel. Mike's got a very full agenda today, but we will follow up offline and answer every single question that is submitted. Now that we got all those details out of the way, I'm excited to introduce Michael Dodds, a Microsoft Dynamics 365 certified support consultant at Ledgeview Partners. Now, to say Mike is a Dynamics enthusiast is to put it lightly. He's a true champion in helping 365 and CRM users and administrators get the most from Microsoft Dynamics and make a real impact on their business. If you've been on a call with Mike, you know he loves talking about the weather, always up for a good joke, and just an overall awesome guy that loves talking CRM all day long. Mike, take it away.
Thank you for that wonderful intro, Chad. I appreciate it. And for your daily weather report, of course. It is snowing like crazy here. We're about to get a nice little blizzard, and it's going to be fun shoveling that today. So I hope if you're in a warm climate, enjoy it. Enjoy no snow. But like Chad said, we have a lot to get to. And what we're going to jump into is organization insights. Now, first and foremost, this is the solution. The easiest way to install this is to simply navigate to appsource.microsoft.com. You search for the organization insights. Make sure you log in using your CRM credentials. And I'm going to show you the steps to do this in just a minute, so don't worry. And then you would click Get It Now. There's going to be some notices up here. Just read and agree to them. Choose your CRM org that you want to add organization insights for. Agree to those terms. Click Agree, and then it'll be taken to your install page. Let's jump in, and I'll show you how to do that. So right from here, you can see I am logged in as CRM admin for our webinar org. You would just simply click Get It Now. Checkbox this permissions, click Continue. Now, any instance that you have in your tenant is going to show. So you want to make sure you pick the correct instance. Most people want to have this on their production instance. So you would want to make sure that you choose that before continuing on and actually installing the solution. It takes just a minute for it to load just because it's taking you to a different screen. Now, as you can see here are my two different instances. I'm going to choose LVP Webinar. Click Agree, Agree. Then this becomes not grayed out, so you can click on this to continue. Now, what this will do is it will take you to your install page for Dynamics 365. And if you don't see it in your main screen here, you just move over, Organization Install, Installation Pending. So then you have that information in there. You just wait for it to download. It just takes a little bit for it to download. Now, to access Organization Insights, I'm going to show you. You just simply go to Navigate to Settings, Organization Insights. It's that simple. It's not like you have to go through System Settings or Administration or anything like that. It's all right in there for you. Next, we're going to jump into Organization Insights, and I'm going to explain the home page for you. You're able to change the date range in which you're looking at. Now, it allows you to go back 90 days. One thing to keep in mind, and I'll show you this, is it's actually going to let you go back a full 3 months. However, as we all know, some months have 31 days, some months have 30 days, some even have 28 days. However, this particular item doesn't take that into account. So if you go back the full amount that it allows you, you will get an error message that says, hey, you can't go back that far. You can only go back 90 days. So it can be frustrating if you get that, but just know, just move it a couple days forward and you'll be fine. So let's jump in and I'll show you how to do that. So right from here, we're going to go Settings, Organization Insights. And then this, you can jot this out to see what each of these mean. Each of these symbols mean something specific. So right here, this is your home page. So if we click this icon right here, it pulls out all these different items. We're going to cover all these in detail. This is your home page. You can modify this as much as you want. Now, what I mean by that is I can take these, I can move these around the screen. And to do that, all I have to do is click the Edit button, drag it down, drag this up. It'll move that up to the top screen for me. I can remove this. If I don't want to have active users on there, or I don't want API calls, just remove it off. There, it's gone. I can add any chart that appears in any of these sections. So if I want to add a chart, if I want to add active users by client, I can pull that information. Okay, so I can grab that information. It's right here. I can move it around. Move this over here. So I can do any amount of editing that I want, which is a really nice thing. So it can set your dashboard to the different items that matter most to you. Now, one thing to keep in mind with this, that this is set up for system admins and system customizers. You have the ability to see this right off the bat. It's just included with your security role. Any other users don't have this out of the box set. It would need, if you want other users in your org to see this, you need to make sure that you set that security setting for them. Now, once you've made all your changes, you're happy with it, you would just click Save. Otherwise, if you just want to cancel it out, hit Cancel. However, cancel it still saved the changes. So save and cancel are functioning the same way there. Now, if I want to change how my home page, what I'm viewing, and this little screen right here where it's saying from and to, that's on every screen. Okay. Now that piece that I was saying, how you can go back 3 months, see how it's going to let me go all the way back to September 14th? So I chose that, now I hit refresh. See, start or end time cannot be less than 90 days from now. While it's 3 months, it's not 90 days. So if I click here and I move it up a couple days, so if I go to, let's say, the 16th, and then hit refresh, then it'll refresh for me. So that's just an error message that you might run into. Don't worry, it is something that you can update. You just need to bump it ahead a couple days. It does take a little bit of time for each one to load because it's reloading the entire organization insights, every single chart within here, not just your home page. Okay? So that's a very important piece to keep in mind. These little 3 dots over here on the side, taking just a minute for it to click for me. I apologize for that. So if I click here, I can actually, I find this very funny. You can send a smile or a frown. Really what this means is you can say, hey, I have positive feedback. Send a smile, what did you like? Or you can send negative feedback, send a frown. What did you not like? So it's basically a feedback tool for Microsoft to understand how you're liking the Organization Insights dashboard. Okay. Now let's say you did what I did. You made all these changes and you're like, wow, this really doesn't look pretty. I want to set that back to the default dashboard. Just click Reset the Default Dashboard. It's going to take you back. Okay. So I click on it. It's going to take a minute for everything to run through. While it does that, let's jump back to our PowerPoint presentation. Another thing that you can do for each one, I'm going to show you this in a little bit later, but each chart on your home page, you can actually export the data that's behind the scenes for those out to Excel for each of those charts. There's just the little Excel symbol on each chart. Click on that, pull it right on out. Really helps because if there's certain information, sometimes there's information that's kind of hard to see based on the size of the chart, or there's just a lot of information, and you want to get into the nitty-gritty, you can pull that information out. Now, as I said, editing the home page, click the edit button, you can move it around, delete charts, add charts, and then you can restore it back to the home page like we talked about. The next piece we're going to go into is the active usage one. First, we're going to start with the active users portion. Okay, this dashboard shows all these different items. I'm going to go into detail on them, but it shows you the total active users for the dates you select, the number of active users during that time frame, what operations and how many users perform them, the most active users performing create, update, delete, and read, the total operations performed at specific points, and then also the total page requests, specifically reports, forms, and dashboards. So let's jump on in. And as you can see, this reset us back to our original home page. So now if I click on the active usage, wait for it to move over to that side. The way we kind of describe organization insights, and actually this is meant as a positive, but in plain language, it's Big Brother, but in a good way. It allows you to really see what's happening in your CRM org. So it's a hugely helpful admin tool. Huge proponent of this. Now I'm going to set my time frame. I'm going to go back to just the beginning of November through today. So I'm going to set it November 1st at 1 p.m. through today at 1 p.m. Almost all of these items update on an hourly basis. The only ones that are different are your storage. That's a daily update, and it's at 10 a.m. And the mailbox usage, that is actually ranges from 5 minutes, I believe, to 30 minutes is the time frame in which that's happening. So right here, we're looking at total active users, and all this simply means is the number of active users that performed some form of operation that caused an SDK call. There's specific ones, but basically what it's saying is they performed an operation that triggered them to be considered an active user, and it's during this time frame. Okay, this active users section, however, what that's doing is it's showing me the different active users at various times throughout the day, all the way between 11:01 and 12:13. So it shows it at different various points during the day. Now, yes, you could go here and you could look at each individual one. Really what it's doing is it's showing a trend. That's the intent of it. It's really trying to show you a trend. Okay. Then you have active users that are performing specific operations. So again, specific times throughout the day. It's giving you different trends. That's the intent of these kind of charts. Show you the trends and how you've trended from the beginning all the way through. Okay, so we've been going down mostly. Okay. Then you have the most active users performing operations. So these are all your different users in here. Now, obviously, the most is going to be done by CRM Admin because I'm CRM Admin. This is my test org. I do have other various users in here. Most of what I do is read things. I do have a little bit of create in here. So you have updates and creates. But as you can see here, they're kind of hard to read because most of it, little over 7,000 reads between this time frame. So it makes the other stuff hard to read. So what I would do here is I would actually want to export the data to Excel because I know, hey, this is not really easy to read. Let me pull it out. Okay, well, I can see I had 40 creates, I had 65 updates, I had 4 deletes, and obviously I had a ton of reads. And you can see this for each individual person. Now, the most active users is just the list of the most active users that performed an operation that calls an SDK call, just like the active users. So really great information to pull out of here. One great thing to kind of utilize this for is if you're seeing somebody who's doing a lot of delete actions, that might give you cause for concern as an admin, wondering why they're deleting things. If you see like 1,000 deletes, okay, well, they must have performed a bulk delete operation. I wonder why that's happening. So it gives you an idea of understanding what your users are doing as well. In terms of like a sales manager or an operations manager or something like that, you can also see who are the most active people in your system. Who are the ones that are doing the most? Yes, you can audit logins, but are they actually doing anything? this tells you, the operations they're performing. So it's a really nice piece. And then you also have a total operations. This chart's basically showing how many operations, between create, read, update, and delete, and that are done over a period of time within the selected time. So it's going from 11/1, and it's giving you a trend. So it's kind of also showing you, hey, there's some time basically right at the end of the month where a lot of work was happening. Okay, and then same thing, a lot of work was done today. So those are different things that you can see in terms of when are a lot of operations being done, when are we having more downtime. So it gives you a look at the operations that are being performed in your system by your users. Same kind of thing with page requests. So are they requesting forms? Excuse me, sorry about that. Are they requesting reports? Are they requesting forms? Are they requesting dashboards? Where are we seeing this information? That's what's kind of showing us here, okay? So again, it's more of a trend, and you can always export it to Excel. So you can see, wow, there's a lot on 11/15, not really much any other time. We had a little spike on 11/9 as well. So you can see that information. It allows you to analyze. So that's the active users. Next, we're going to jump into mode of access. There's quite a few for mode of access, and this really tells you how are my users accessing the system. Now, I'm going to break all this information down here. The PowerPoint is more for future information about the different items that we went over today. So let me jump back in. So to do this, I simply click on mode of access. We'll wait for this to load. It takes a little bit of time, again, because it's grabbing all this great information. This is the only section, by the way, that has 3 tabs. All the other ones are just a singular tab. So when we jump in here, I'm actually a huge fan of the mode of access. I think it gives you some really cool information. So what you can see here is you're seeing active users by operating system. So this breaks down of, okay, so they're using Windows, they're using Android, unknown. So it kind of gives you a breakdown of how people are accessing the system and which operating system they're using. So it's a really nice feature. Then you also have active users by device type. Okay, we put out this mobile device for everyone. We spent a lot of time getting it going, but I'm not really seeing many people use it. Most people are still using the desktop. So that's something that you can also use as feedback about your system, which can help. Then you also have active users by browser. There are times where there are browser issues. There are certain times, if any of you have connected with me about when a Chrome has done an update, and then unfortunately, the notes section went white. That was something that happened with a recent Chrome browser. You can see how many people are really using the Chrome browser. Is it heavily used, or is it not used that often? If it's heavily used, well, then we might want to look into a fix. If it's not heavily used, then we just have those few people transition to maybe use Internet Explorer instead. So it's a nice breakdown of active users by browser. Active users by security roles. So these are all the different security roles that are out there and the number of users within them that are accessing the system during that time. So really just the active users broken down by security role. So that gives you a nice little piece of information. Unfortunately, it just the way it's set up, it does kind of cut off some pieces in here. You can also break it down further, even more by business unit. So if you have a ton of business units, this might be one that would benefit you to kind of see, well, which active users by business unit, knowing which business units are using the system the most, or if it's evenly spread, gives you, again, some nice data analysis tools. And this is active users broken down by the system entities. So right here, this is basically telling me, okay, most people are utilizing the common entities, but then they're going into sales and service and custom and then also the system. So it kind of gives you a little pie chart breakdown of what it looks like. Then you also have active users by client. So again, breakdown of the active users by the client they're using to access. So this is Mocha Online or web. So it's going to break down by various different clients that are available. This one, I don't have any data, unfortunately, just because nobody I'm not using more than one client to access. But if you have users that are using more than one client to access, it will break that down by various client combinations. So also a nice tool. Again, it's giving you kind of an overall look at how your users are accessing CRM. And then also when they access, where are they going into? Who is accessing? Those different things. So it's a really nice piece. And then lastly, in access active usage, you have the content usage. And then in content usage, we're going to go over the most used custom entities, the most used out-of-the-box entities, and the most used overall entities. All of these are broken down by read, create, update, and delete during those dates selected. So we can see here, so common entities, or excuse me, custom entities, we can see that post configuration had the most during this time. It had 44 reads. Okay. Again, if there was any creates or anything like that, it would be in here as well. Most of these are just reads, just because that, again, it's a test org. So for yours, it will be split up a little bit more between create, read, update, and delete. For the live assist and the wall view, there's some updates in here. Okay. If I wanted to break this out further, and I wanted to see the exact ones, I can see it this way as well with the raw numbers. Instead of hovering over them, you can export it and see it right here in a table-like setting. Most used out-of-the-box entities, so system forms, display strings, solutions, users, different items like that. Again, because I'm mostly setting things up in my test org, that's why you're seeing these different items in here. But you also see processes. Again, you see creates, updates, you see updates and reads. All this information right here, and it's nicely broken down for you. So it's a really great use of seeing the out-of-the-box entities. So for a user or an admin, you would want to see, okay, what are the most common out-of-the-box entities that are being used? What are the most common ones that are getting accessed? That can be really helpful to be providing you information for. And then you also have most used entities. So this is basically, it can be custom, it can be out of the box, just saying, hey, which ones are the most used? And really, for me, the ones that are most used are the out of the box, as you can see right here. And again, breaks it down by create, read, update, and delete. If I change this, if I move this to the 30th and refresh it, then we'll refresh it here, and you'll see that this information is going to change. So the information changed slightly, as you can see here. Post role configuration down significantly. But we still see here that mostly are the same. Testing was the second one, and now it's all the way down here. So you can see it changes. You can also exclude system users if you would like. So you can exclude system users, and then it's not going to have any system one showing for you. Excuse me, system users showing for you. And then you can also specify it. If I uncheck this, just going to wait for this to refresh. I can also show data for specific users. If I want to just see, okay, I want to see what Josh is doing. I can come in here, take a look at Josh, and then I can see, well, what are the items that he's accessing the most? If I don't get much in the way of results, like no data to display, then I know that Josh really isn't accessing the system and using it. And then that might lead to having a conversation with Josh. Now, edit, each of these have an edit button on here. This simply means you can move it. If I wanted to flip these around, I can move these as I need to. If I want to reorganize how they're shown, I can do that. I can do it on any chart within Organization Insights. And then you just simply save it. Next, we're going to jump into system jobs. As I said before, everything going forward just has one tab. So what we're going to be going on to now is the dashboards are going to show workflow executions, how many workflow executions during the specified dates that pass rate of the system jobs, the throughput, top workflows that failed, most active workflows during the time frame, and then your execution and backlogs. So it's really powerful information that you can get about your system jobs. So let's jump on it. So I'm going to flip this back to 11.1, refresh the system real quick, and then we'll move on into system jobs. This is one thing, the more and more I've used it, the more and more powerful I see the information that's available within the system, and it's definitely an item that gives you powerful information to understand how your system is being utilized, and it can really help you out with some great tools to enhance and even troubleshoot before things become a problem. So workflow executions, this could be a lot more, but again, test org, we don't have a ton of workflow executions. Great news, system jobs pass rate, it's passing through at 100%, so that's great news. Top workflows by failure, so only one failed, so that's good, but if you're seeing like the same one fail hundreds of times, then that might be something that we really need to take a look at. And then also here you have your most active workflows. So these are the most active workflows during our time frame. So this one, the number of executions is 5. Create a case. This one's all the way down at 1, but we did also have one failure. So, again, it probably reran and then it's passed through, but it did fail. In this chart, let's say I had a lot of failures, it's only going to show your top 10 most failing workflows. So it's not going to be all-encompassing, but it's going to show your top 10 most. Just like the most active, it's showing your top 10 most active. So if you have hundreds of workflows and you're going, well, I'm not seeing everything in here. Well, it's only showing your top 10. System job execution and backlog. What this is showing you is throughout showing the average system jobs. Oops, I'm sorry. I skipped one. I apologize. System jobs throughput per hour. This job is showing the average system jobs that have been executed per hour during this time frame. So we average 21 system jobs per hour between 11.1 and 12.13. So that's a nice tool to be able to analyze how your system's running, how many system jobs are going through in an hour. Are we taxing the system, or is it pretty vanilla? Then you also have the execution and backlogs right down here. This is showing the number of executions and the backlog of the system jobs over time. So going from 11.1 to 12.13. So again, it's kind of showing you trends here. Okay, the number of executions. Right here, it just drops off. And good thing I never had any backlogs at all. So you want this to be at 0. My system jobs stops. So that could also be something as well. It's like, well, why it was averaging around 20, 21, and then all of a sudden it just stopped. Maybe something happened. Maybe there's an issue that I need to take a look at. So that will help you fix an issue maybe before it becomes a major problem. So that's an item as well. Next, we're going to jump into plugins. So with plugins, we're going to look at the success rate of the plugins, just like with system jobs, number of plugin executions during the selected dates, the most active, the average execution time, and then the top plugins that failed. So if we move on and click on plugins, we're going to see with my plugins, unfortunately, they're not having a great success rate, 67%. Okay, so I only have 6 plugin executions, and I'm only running at a 67% success rate. That's not good. So that might be something that I need to take a look at. And here is the plugin it's the only one running. So I can also check down here, top plugins by failure, same thing. It's failed twice. It's executed 6 times. So we're not looking all that great. So most active plugins, again, it's going to show the top 10 most active plugins. Your average plugin execution time, again, test org, that's why there's not a lot of information. But what this is telling me is this chart showing the average time it's taken to successfully execute a plugin over the specified time. So again, at certain points during the day here. So right here is the only time it really executed, and this is how long it took in milliseconds. And then your top plugin by failures right here. Again, it's also showing the top 10 most failing plugins. So if you have more than 10 plugins, you're looking at your top 10 most failed. So really great information to be able to utilize. Next, we're going to go into API call statistics. So what this is showing us is the API success rate for the selected dates, the total calls during that time frame, the top APIs that failed, the most used, and the API calls at specific times. So you're starting to see a trend here of what it's doing between system jobs, plugins, and API calls. It's really grabbing all the same information, but it's presenting to you all the different areas that you can look as an admin. So here I'm running 51,505 at 100% success rate. So yes, I have failures, but they are executing at 100% success rate. So they may have failed, but they were most likely reran, and then we have 100% success rate. So we're looking good. We got 100% success rate. Nothing extraordinary that's failing a large amount of the time. So nothing that we really need to take a look at this time. And then you have your most used APIs. So that information is also going to help you show that. Again, top 10 most executed is really what it's showing us. And how many API calls. We're looking at 6,880 for the most. And down here, 1,372. So that gives you a nice breakdown of which ones are being utilized the most. Again, you can always pull this information out to Excel. API calls, again, over a broad range of time. You're looking for kind of the trends, okay? 11.9, we're running quite a few. We kind of start dipping down. We can see the different API calls within here and kind of where it peaks, where peaks and valleys are. So it's a nice little trend piece that you can look at. And then this is also showing the top 10. So where it says top or most used, you're usually looking at top 10. Next is mailbox usage, and I apologize, my test org doesn't have a mailbox, so to speak, that's actually going to be utilized. But let's jump into the PowerPoint, and I'll kind of give you a breakdown of what it's doing. So for mailbox usage, the first one is showing you the number of mailboxes during those selected dates that are broken down by number of server-side sync configured email boxes, server-side sync enabled email boxes. Anybody that's done anything with email configuration knows there's incoming, outgoing, and appointments, contacts, and tasks. Well, breaks it down by those right here that are enabled. It also shows you the number of mailboxes that are during the selected date broken down by server type. The active email server profiles by their geolocation they are hosted in during those selected dates. You also have the number of email boxes by the exchange configuration. So it's the number of mailboxes that you have, and then again, the exchange configuration is kind of how it's broken out. The number of mailbox configuration errors that you've had during that time frame. It's kind of an over-the-time look as well. You also have mailbox usage during the selected dates shown at specific times. So, over a long period of time, it's showing you that information. The number of Outlook boxes, mailboxes, and the number of active email server profiles as well. And both of those are over a period of time. So showing you 11.1 to 12.13 based on how I have it set up. So that's the different information that you're seeing. And again, I apologize that I'm not able to show you those specific charts. It's just unfortunately mine does not have mailboxes or anything set up. But you can see here that it's a time range. Mailbox usage is a time range. Number of Outlook mailboxes is a time range. And number of active email server profiles. All 4 of those are over time. The mailboxes by server type, by geo, and by exchange configuration. Those are your standard charts, and then this one's a chart that breaks it down by each one of these as well. So really some great information by mailbox. So if you have some mailbox concerns, this would be an area to jump into and take a look. Now last but definitely not least, actually probably the most important one, is storage. Okay? What we're looking at for storage here is really, really important. You have broken down by the instances. It has your total storage that you're being used. So if you get an alert from Microsoft saying, hey, you're over, this would be where you're going to want to take a look. Now, keep in mind that if you reduce one of these and you say, hey, I reduced my audit base, and that's 435, but 435 didn't directly come off. We've spoken about this regarding, it's not a direct one-for-one, but it's showing your largest size. So it's your top tables by size. When you're dealing with storage, you want to look at the size. Top tables by row count, this is more giving you, okay, what's used the most? What has the most records? Okay. Size of common tables, this is really where you're going to want to go to see how you're going to be able to affect change in your storage that's being used. Because up here, common, some of this could simply be, leads. It could show you different entities that you're utilizing in, and unless you delete the data out of them, which you very well may not want to do, you're not going to affect the change. The common tables, that's usually where you're seeing like attachments, async operations, audit base. This is where you can affect a little bit more of a change in terms of getting your storage down. And then it's the row count of the common tables. Here's your CRM storage use by instance. So this is for the instance that I'm on, is what it's showing me here. Microsoft does define this as that it's supposed to be showing by each Dynamics 365 instance. Unfortunately, I am only seeing it for my instance here. As we can see here for the tenant, it's larger because it's combining both my LVP webinar and LVP webinar 2. So right here, the combination between the two. And this is your tenant. This is both of them combined. That's why 1069 plus 371 gives me 1440. So this is where you want to go. If you're ever getting that message from Microsoft saying you've reached 80%, or if we happen to email you letting you know that you've reached 80%, this is a really great tool to understand what's eating my storage. Okay. You can also come down here into the download section, and you can pick and choose a chart to download as well. The last thing I want to show you is under Sales Dashboards. This is an Organization Insights dashboard. This is a preview feature currently. So what that means is within System Settings, Administration System Settings, you go to the Preview tab, you can enable previews. One of them is the Organization Insights dashboard. As soon as you download Organization Insights, this will appear. Unless you enable the preview feature, you're not going to be able to actually see that. So very, very important. So I'm going to jump back. We covered the storage pieces here, and then we also covered the download and the preview feature. This is the preview feature. We're going to go over this, but I just want to let you know that this information is out there and all the different things that you can do, and it shows you how to enable Organization Insights Preview. So you have active users. You can break this down for looking back 2 hours, 48 hours, or even 30 days. So that gives you a breakdown. Again, kind of giving you a trend here. Here, it's going to be looking at more specific times because you're only looking back 2 hours. Most active users on reads. This is just simply showing you reads. You can look back 2 hours, 48 hours, and 30 days. If I look back 48 hours, see how now I have a create? Watch what happens when I click on create. It goes away. Completely kills it off. If I click updates, now there's no data. As you click on these, it's going to take them away when they're initially shown. And then again, you can go all the way up to 30 days. And that's information that you can show. Active users performing operations, same thing here. It's kind of showing you a trend. You can go all the way back to 30 days. Click on these, it will remove the different items all the way until no data. Same thing here. Okay? And then reports and forms. That's how you can do it. So it's a really nice dashboard that you can go and take a look at. It's basically a lot of the same information. So active users, most active users with reads and changes. So it just takes off reads from here, and this is actually looking at just changes. So that's a little bit of a difference from the organization insights piece. Performing specific operations. This is giving you a nice bar chart, but it gives you the chance to look back at a specific set amount of time. You can always go back 2 hours. It's just a nice quick hitting view for you. And actually, we are running long on time, so we didn't have any submitted questions today. These were just from previously submitted questions, so I am actually going to move past them. These are ones that we've covered in previous webinars. And that's all I had for today. We also have the CRM resources out there. You can get the most out of your Salesforce by going to the resources portion of our website. We also have our upcoming user group webinar, the Dynamics 365 user group webinar. It's going to be on January 24th at 11 a.m. and we're going to go over workflows. I want to thank you for your time today. I know we went a little bit long today, but I really appreciate your time. I know this is a really involved organization insights piece, but thank you and have a happy holidays.
Thank you, everybody. Make it a great day.